Otra más, duro. Apriete el bate, vamos. Eso, ahora, vamos, pa' China, nos fuimos. Nos fuimos. Eso, vamos. Mírala bien. Back pitch, mírala bien. Balance, balance. Elbow. Aquí, gira y trae el bate, vamos. Eso, vámonos, nos fuimos. Eso, buena, Joshua, buena.
That's it.
Joshua is a very, very beautiful and just good-hearted kid. He is absolutely resilient. He's someone that no matter how much pain, no matter what's going on, he really just always tries to figure out and to do the best that he absolutely can.
Throw, fast. Joshua, you gotta do faster.
It truly began, we were at home and we noticed that he had a little twitch in the arm. It seemed a little odd, it seemed off. My heart just told me that there's something, terribly wrong. So what I did was I took out the video camera that we had and we videotaped what was happening. As soon as the doctor saw what was on the video, immediately he called the emergency room at the hospital and said he's having a seizure and we need to, find out what's happening.
Reviewing the videotape with her, we had a suspicion that the seizures started in one small area and then spread.
He was 3 months old at that time.
A huge part of those initial discussions is just helping them understand what's happening in the brain, helping them understand that the seizure is not life-threatening.
They gave me a paper that actually spelled out what it was that Joshua had, and it was just heartbreaking.
Lennox-Gastaut syndrome happens in about 3 to 4% of kids that have epilepsy. Epilepsy means that you have a predisposition towards seizures. 10% of human beings have a seizure at some point in their life, and 10% of those go on to have a second seizure. And it's that second seizure without a clear reason that we call epilepsy. Lennox-Gastaut syndrome has many genes that are associated with it, plus other forms of brain injury, including stroke, infection, traumatic brain injury, and basically anything that can injure the brain can give you a Lennox-Gastaut picture. It also has multiple seizure types. The final piece of the Lennox-Gastaut triad is the abnormalities on the EEG. The hallmark of Lennox-Gastaut is that it does have a really severe effect or apparent effect on learning, so their learning is limited.
What I was told was, potentially because of all the seizures and because of everything, in his diagnosis, he may not be able to walk on time or talk. He may not be able to function, at a regular level. And so it was extremely overwhelming. And I have to share that when you get this type of diagnosis, it's not just the child that gets diagnosed, really the whole family. From that moment on, everybody is involved in every single step. So it's just heart-wrenching. I remember, very specifically, when he was really young, he had seizures where they were drop seizures, where, just automatically, his body would, just kind of move forward and just involuntarily, fall completely all the way to the floor. I really thought at that moment, oh my God, this is just horrible. How can we live like this? How can Joshua continue like that?
You cover one eye with your hand like this. Watch my nose, okay? Don't move. Stay like that. And point to the finger that I wiggled. Did you see? No, stay like this. Yeah, don't move. I'm going to wiggle a finger, and I want you to point to the finger I wiggle without looking at it. Which one was that? What families need to understand when they get these diagnoses is that they are as serious of a medical condition as you can have, and it is a long, hard battle, to overcome the challenges that come along with these, and that you really need expertise and people who have experience with all of the facets of treatment in order to kind of maximize the function for the kid.
Joshua has seizures every single day. Right now, the seizures are approximately 3 on a daily basis. Joshua has had more than 30 seizures a day in the past when he was younger. And, those days, I have to say, were, undescribable because every time that Joshua has a seizure, I feel it. I feel that I'm having that seizure, right with him. It's just painful, and it's gut-wrenching to know that there's nothing that you can do. We pray for that, seizure-free day every single day of our lives. But it is something that's very tough to be able to live not knowing, when the next one's coming, how strong. Earlier when he was at baseball practice, he had a very strong one. And it's just gut-wrenching because it's a moment in time where everything stops. And I feel as if I can't breathe. He feels when those seizures are coming, and he's embarrassed. He doesn't want his friends to see him have the seizures. And so what he'll do is, as soon as he feels the aura, he runs to the bathroom, he runs, away from where everybody is, and he just tries to find that quiet place where he's able, to have the seizure. His brothers go with him, and they, make sure to just let him know that they're there for him. While he's having the seizures, they are extremely supportive of him and help him. It's really tough for them and for everyone as a family. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joshua. Happy birthday to you. If I didn't have the support of my family, in particular, if I didn't have the help of my husband, day in and day out, I don't know, how much sanity I would have. When a child gets diagnosed with this type of illness, it's not just the child that gets, diagnosed. It's really everybody that's involved. We've tried so many different medicines throughout the years. From the moment that he was diagnosed, I would say that, at least a dozen. Joshua is on 3 different types of medication right now. 2 of them are, in a pill format that he drinks twice a day. One of them is to help a particular tumor that has actually grown in his brain, to help shrink it. And he's also on CBD, and we're now just on the 2nd month of utilizing it, and we are hopeful that it's going to make a difference and that it's going to be able to help him, feel better and make those seizures either be less in strength or in numbers, but we are hopeful that it's something that can help him out.
When the medications don't work and you're talking about the Plan B options, one of the biggest ones and the most promising ones is what we call epilepsy surgery. Traditionally, that's been opening the skull and exposing the brain and taking part of the brain out. In order to do that, you need to have documented that the seizures all generate and come from one part of the brain, and that one part of the brain can be safely taken out without causing damage to a critical area, which would cause weakness or loss of speech or loss of vision or blindness. As long as those things can be done, surgery can be life-changing, and out of the Plan B options, it is the best one by a mile if the child is a candidate for surgery, because it can be so life-changing, and it really is the only thing that has the prospect of curing the epilepsy. And now we're doing something called focused ultrasound, which heats the brain using focused ultrasound waves, so it is literally bloodless surgery.
Joshua's first surgery was when he was 3 years old. Tough decision for a child so small. But again, what was the alternative? Him having drop seizures that can ultimately, end in death. So as tough as it was, that first surgery was incredibly successful because he's never had that drop seizure ever again. That one was open surgery. It was very difficult because after he came out, only about a few minutes after coming out of surgery, he had a seizure. I remember Dr. Miller tearing up and feeling just, everybody was so involved and everybody's hopes was so high that this would get Joshua to just no seizures. But again, even though we didn't get to the 0, it did help in a very substantial way.
He's had multiple brain surgeries, the last of which finally really made a difference. They aren't a home run, but holy cow, they're a triple in terms of how much benefit he got out of it and how big of a reduction in the burden to his day-to-day activities the seizures were after the brain surgery.
I want everyone to know that it is an extremely difficult, it's an extremely scary, diagnosis, but this illness does not define our children, and there is hope. The future for Joshua looks very, very well, and with God's help, we do believe that he's going to be doing extremely well and that he is going to be seizure-free.
Eso, vamos.